Okay, so today I'm gonna work on some shades, and the object of this video is to approach products that have transparency to them and showing you guys how to light objects that are transparent, right? So obviously the shades are transparent, and I'm gonna modify the structure of the shades to be a transparent colored material. So these shades I got from a website called Dementiva. I've known about this website for a while. So show you guys here. Um, Actually, years ago, these shades were free. So here on the bottom, these shades used to be free, but they've since changed it. However, they offer a lot of different 3D models. I'm hoping you guys can find some 3D models where you can have shades, glasses that are transparent, and you can just modify them. Again, these shades here on the original shades here, they look a little different. They're black, and such things. So I'm gonna change them a little bit because I want to make it something more where um, we're dealing with some color like this, transparent. Like here on these shades, they're transparent also. So I just want to make the structure of the shades itself transparent and approaching product renderings from this manner. So again, we're using a background. I'm gonna have that background lit. It's gonna push light through the material, and then also give the materiality a transparent color. So let's switch back over to Blender. Let me switch my screen back here. Transition. Okay, so again, these shades used to be free. They're no longer free. I'll look into see if I can maybe share them out. I don't want to violate the terms of their products that they give out, but let's get started. Okay, so I had to import these as OBJs because originally these files that come from Dementiva, they come as FBX, OBJ, 3ds, but they're more meant for 3D Studio Max, V-Ray, and Corona. So I gotta work with it. They come in as one whole object. So first what I have to do is I gotta break up the object, and I also have to scale it down. So these shades are huge right now. Yeah, see, they're about 500 inches wide. So I'm gonna scale them down. I think usually the scale for stuff like this is like 0.01. So I'm gonna go like 0.01. There we go. So that's something more correct, right? 5.5 inches wide. So I got that. We scaled it down. And then I'm gonna collapse the transforms, as I call it. So I'm gonna press Control A, and then all transforms apply so that my scale resets back to 1. And then now I'm gonna go in and start separating out these objects. So let's delete this. And we gotta go to wireframe mode so we can select everything. So we're gonna delete that. And then for this, I'm gonna start breaking it out into their proper elements. So I'm gonna go to polygon mode. I'm just gonna go Control plus, hold it down so I select the whole thing. Same with this, Control plus, hold it down so that it just grows the selection to the whole thing. Press P, and then I'm gonna hit selection. So now that's its own object. And then the base. So we're gonna select that. Press tab. I'm gonna grow the selection again. I'm gonna select the handles here, grow the selection. All right. And then I'm gonna press P, selection, broke that out. So now we got 2 pieces, and I think the rest is just a metal material. So I'm gonna keep these elements here as one whole object. All right, so we got it broken up into 3 objects. I'm gonna name them. So I'm gonna call this one Rayban base or structure, maybe. And then we can call this Rayban metals. Can do that. And then we can call this Rayban lens. And then we're gonna delete these folders because we're not doing a huge interior scene. I'm renaming this Rayban shades. so we can be organized again. Oh, Ray-Ban shades. All right, so we got that organized. I'm gonna delete that. All right, so we're building a kit of parts once again. And let's see what else. Okay, so let's start building out our materials. So we're just gonna set up a simple render. Oh, I didn't want that. I want it vertical like that. All right, so let's set up a simple render. And then we're gonna turn on our world light. All right, so we got that going. And then I'm gonna go over here, switch to shader editor. All right, now we're gonna make some materials. So I want to remove this off and then make a new one. I'm gonna call this Rayban lens 001. And then we're gonna take the roughness here, make this white, and then make the shades go to transmission, turn that up to 1. All right, we got started on that. Simple enough. And then we're gonna select the base, get rid of that, new, Rayban, Rayban base, we'll call it, I guess. And then, so for this, I wanna make it transparent again. So we'll say transmission, turn that up. Actually, we're gonna do something different, but we'll keep it for now. We'll start with this. I'm gonna change it later. I'm gonna show you guys something else, something new. I'll set this to about 0.1. Yeah, we'll do something more. We can go something more frosted or something. So like this is like a more frosted look, but I'm gonna go with something a little bit sharper. That's what I'm seeing on Pinterest. Okay, and then I'm gonna give it a little bit of color. So let's see what we can go with. Maybe we can go with blue. I know my initial build I did blue, but we'll just probably go with blue again. Blue was a cool color. Maybe we can go like a turquoise. Yeah, we'll go right about there. We can always change it later. Okay, so now we got that. And then we're gonna do our metal. So new Rayban metal 001 metallic, turn that all the way up. And then we need to decide how glossy this metal should be, or roughness, I should say. It's me talking V-Ray talk. 0.25, 0.35. I think 0.25. Let's go with that. 0.3. We'll go with 0.3. All right, so that's it. Materials are pretty simple. Okay, we got some simple materials set up. I do want to do something later that I'm going to show you guys. I have a different add-on to show you all today. That's a really great add-on. But we'll get to that. Okay, so now let's just start setting up our scene. We've broken out, we've set up our asset, right? And now I want to set up a scene. Okay. So now we're going to go and call this assets, because maybe we want to add some other things later on to this. And, or say we want to make multiple colorways too, right? And so we can add new colorways too. All right, so we got our Ray-Ban shades, and now I'm gonna just do a full copy. So full copy, and then I'm gonna call this shot 100. And then again, like I've done before, I'm gonna delete this, right? And delete everything here, because we're creating a new scene, but we just wanna bring all of our settings with it. So I'm gonna go back here. And now I'm going to do a collection instance, Ray-Ban shades, and now the Ray-Ban shades are in the shot. Okay, so now it's just a collection instance. So if we want to make edits back to the shades itself, we need to switch back to our assets scene. Okay, so now we're just focusing purely on building a shot. So now I'm going to create a camera. I'm going to take this collection instance out of this camera collection. So now we're going to create a camera, And then I'm gonna turn off this render for now, and then switch this to shader editor or 3D viewport. All right, so camera. Let's set this to, let's properly set up our camera. So I'm gonna turn this 90 degrees, 0, 0. All right, and then like I've always done in my shots, I pull it back. Let's look through the camera. And then I'm gonna set my camera to 135. Yes, I use that all the time. I like it. It really sets the shape of my products when I'm working with them instead of skewing them. Okay, so 1920 by 1920, as you've all seen before. We're going to take the shades. I'm just going to shift them down, center them to the shot a little bit. All right, and then I'm going to start hiding some of my tools. I'm going to press T to hide the left toolbar. I'm going to press Control tilde to hide the tool on the right. And then I'm going to turn off this. So this will turn off all the overlays. So we got a lot of options here. And so if you see what happens here, now you can't tell if I've selected it. And the reason I'm doing this is because I just want to purely focus on the imagery. I don't want to see all the selection stuff around my object. I got the 3D viewport over here to work with to select items and such things. So I'm going to purely focus just on the imagery for this window. And so now I'm going to go over here, my camera. Let's switch to our camera settings. And then we're going to turn on depth of field. We're going to set up our focus point, and then pass part out. We're going to turn that to 1 so that we make our border black. And then now I'm going to add a empty plane axis, and this is our focus point. So if I while I have this selected, if I press F2, I'm going to rename it and call it focus point. And it's in our camera folder where we want it. And then now I'm going to go to my depth of field, and I'm going to set that to focus point. Right. So now I can move that focus point around like I've done plenty of times to set where I want that camera to focus on. All right. So let's set up the first shot. Okay. I'm going to set up the first shot, and I'm just going to start rotating the shades around a little bit. So my first shot is something like this, right? We just want to capture that profile at a 3/4 look. Okay. And so like I'm paying attention to how everything is reading, right? So the first thing I want to read is, does this silhouette work, right? So let's say I hit render, right? So if I hit render and then I turn off my global lighting, does this silhouette read, right? Can we read this? Can we tell this is shades? Okay, yes, we can, right? So the next thing to look at that I'm looking at now that I can read this silhouette is, now are we reading the inner parts, right? Can we read the lens properly? Can we read how the bridge of the shades, can we read the bridge of the shades properly? So I'm looking at all of these items, right? And of course, there's the branding too, Rayban right here on the shades. So I'm paying attention to that also because it's important, you know, say you're actually doing client work, that brand is very important to them because that's their shades, right? We don't want to hide their logo. I'm sure they're going to want to show off that brand in some form or fashion. So that's what I'm looking. Those are the things that I'm looking at. Okay. So this is our first shot. We're going to create multiple shots, right? This is just shot 100. So now, I want to fill this frame up too. So I'm going to push this camera in a little bit so we can fill our frame in, right? Just give it a little bit of breathing room. And then I'm going to shift these shades over just a tad bit. Just a little bit. Okay. And then that's my first shot. So now, oh, I didn't want to add another camera. I'm going to add a plane. So we're going to add a plane as I've done multiple times too. And I'm going to rotate it up. And I'm going to scale it down to see how it fills the frame. Just a little bit past the borders of the frame. And then, so now I've set up my background. Okay. So now I can start moving into rendering. So now I'm going to turn on render. And as we have depth of field, our border is blurring out because of the depth of field. So I have to scale this up a little bigger past the border. Okay. So now I'm gonna work on my background first. So we're gonna go to shader editor, and then we're gonna create a new material, and then I'm gonna go emission, and then I'm going to change this out and set that as my background. So our background is lit, okay? And the reason being that this is lit is because we're working with a transparent object. I've lit multiple backgrounds in my other videos too, but this is a special case also where when you're working with transparent objects, you want light pushing through the object from the back, right? And you could take advantage of that in a lot of different ways, whether you're working with gradients or colored backgrounds. It just depends. But this is very neutral because I'm showing off the color of the glasses here. So I'm gonna go back to 3D viewport, and now I'm gonna set my focus point right. So we're gonna go back to that focus point, and I want the focus point focused in this area. So I'm gonna move that focus point down here, right? And then I'm gonna go to my front view and then just move it around here. Okay, so that's my focus point. And then I'm gonna set my depth of field also. So usually depth of field is always cool to play with as CG artists, even in photography. We always want like crazy amounts of depth of field and stuff. However, we always have to think about how we're presenting our product or whatever we're shooting, right? So sometimes it's not always about having crazy amounts of depth of field, you know? Maybe this is the style of the shot. However, most cases, you know, something like this, it's a product shot. We're trying to show off a product. So I'm going to set this at a very high f-stop to make it very, very sharp, right? So before we had it at 2.8, and now all that we're reading really is just this, you know? So now if I go like 4, we can see it gets sharper, 8, 16, and 32. I'm sorry. Let's see, 32. Okay. So we just got a small amount of depth of field. And I like that because we got this area very, very sharp, right? And then as things go away from that focus point, they blur just a tad bit and you can kind of read it a little bit, right? And so you're seeing that we're drawing our eye here into this area, and then we lose a little bit of focus as we get outside of that area. Okay, so now we got our background set, we got our camera set, and now it's time for lighting. Okay, so now I'm gonna add my first light, and as I've mentioned before, I like using Light Wrangler. Okay, so it's very simple to use. If I just press F9, I'm dropping my first light in. Okay, so now I can drag across the object, I can drag across the lens, see how it's hitting, right? And I want to do something where the light is coming from the right, the key light is coming from the right. And so as you can see, it's hitting the lens here. And if I hold Alt, I can drag my mouse wheel up to bring that light closer. I'm gonna hold Shift and drag the mouse wheel down to make the light smaller. You can see those things happening on the left window. And then now I'm gonna make this light brighter again by just dragging the mouse wheel up without holding any button down. Okay, so I'm gonna go with that for now. So I'm gonna stick with this, just a little brighter. No, let's go down. So I'm gonna click to accept what I want. Okay, so now looking at this, I'm gonna select my background again, and I want to be able to read the highlight on the lens. So I'm gonna take the strength of this background and just bring it down a little bit. All right, so now I'm able to see that highlight on the lens more. And something else that I want to do is talking about the texture of your light, right? In CG, when we're working with lights, sometimes the problem that we're dealing with is that we're seeing these hard edges, right? And this is a very reflective surface. So what I also want to do is change the texture of this light. And so being that I'm using Light Wrangler, it comes with some extra features. And so I can change the feathering of this light. So it's going to soften the edges when I drag this up. So as you can see, the edge here on this highlight really softened. And so if I drag it back down, you'll see that it gets hard again. Okay, so let me turn this light to like 1, 2. Matter of fact, just to show. So it's hard, and I'm gonna drag the feathering up, and as you can see, it gets softer. Now, one other thing that I can do is the tilt. Okay, so now this will give a better fall off. So if I drag the horizontal tilt up, you will see that it's getting another gradient. Okay, so I actually have to go the reverse. So I'm gonna go reverse, and it's gonna get this nice gradient on the light. So there's more of a gradient here on this area. So I want to add some nice gradients across the product with the lighting. Okay, so that's my first light. Okay, so let me just try what if I turn it up 4, see what this looks like. Matter of fact, let's go 2. Okay, so that's my first light. I might change it later, but we're gonna stick with this for now. And then I'm gonna add another light. Okay, matter of fact, I can just duplicate what I have right here. So I can right click. Again, this is Light Wrangler. You can do this manually too, by moving your lights around. But I just like the extra feature you get with Light Wrangler, where I can just drag it around on top of the object like this. It makes it so much faster to light objects. Okay, so I'm gonna go on the opposite side. So I'm gonna add like a fill on the left side of these glasses. So now I'm on the left side, and I want to kind of create this gradient effect. So I'm gonna bring it down here, and I want it to start brushing across the logo. So something like that. I like that. So something like that looks great. All right. So we got that. And then I want to do one more light. So I'm going to duplicate this. Light operations, duplicate. And then I want it coming from the top. You know what? I like that too, though. But I'm going to do it coming from the top. So I'm going to press 2. I'm going to rotate the light up. And now I have a light coming from the top. All right. And so now I'm going to just start turning my lights off. I'm going to move them to the light folder, matter of fact. So lights. And then I want to turn them all off just to see what this light's doing here. Okay. And then I'm going to turn the power way up. All right. So I'm going to go here to the rotation, set it to 0, 0, and 0. And then now what I'm doing is I'm just going to start moving this light around to see how it's affecting the object. Okay. So I'm not getting that much light interaction actually. So let's go to the left view. What if we move it down some closer to the glasses? Go up, move it around just to see what we're getting here. Okay. So what I'm thinking, this is not going to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press tab again, and I'm going to start dragging it across the surface. I'm going to press 1. Let's see what we get now. So I'm just trying to find ways to define the shape of this product, right? So we have it, we're able to see the color through the background being illuminated. And now it's time to actually define what the shape of this product. So that's the goal here. So that's what I'm trying to accomplish. My goal is to accomplish defining the shape, right, of this product. So I'm going to select this again, duplicate, and then drag it across the surface. Okay. So that's something right there we could probably play with. Maybe let's go through the bottom because we haven't defined that bottom rim area. That's different. That's nice. Okay. Turn the brightness up a little bit. This might be a better light scenario right here. So let me turn this off. Yeah, that might be a better look right there too. I'm just going to take it that direction a little bit. Yeah, that's probably better. Okay. So now I'm going to go up to my render settings. I'm going to try something real quick. So I'm going to go over here to light paths. And then if you click on this, these 3 lines, you actually get some extra options. So you got default, direct, fast. I'm going to see what happens if I set it to full. So that's going to take the full features. It's going to just turn up all the settings here. because I see a lot of black on the transmission. So if I go back to default, I want to just check that and then go full again. Okay, so there's not much difference. Okay, so this is a time where I'm going to talk about this other add-on. Okay, because I actually used it in my other scene when I built this initially. So I'm going to switch back to assets here, and I'm going to turn on the global lighting so we can see. And then I'm going to change this material to something different for the frame. So I'm going to go to, that's what it's called, frame. So I'm going to go to shader editor, and then I'm going to right click, and I have this other add-on called Shader Plus. So if you guys have not heard of Shader Plus, it is a great add-on also. Again, it costs money, but these were the important things that I saw, in my opinion, when I was looking for add-ons. So my two big add-ons that I got when I started using Blender was Shader Plus and Light Wrangler. I really love these two plugins. All right, so this is Shader Plus. So you get all these great features basically. So you get caustics, dispersion, thin film, and the stuff renders very fast. Usually, I mean, coming from V-Ray, like this stuff is very expensive to render. It takes a long time to do caustics, and caustics renders very fast. I don't know what this person did, but it is amazing. And then you also get dispersion. So like you can see here, this is dispersion on a glass material. So again, caustics and all this stuff renders very fast. So yeah, so I'm gonna use that. So let's switch back to Blender. I'm gonna transition back, and I'm going to go here, Shader Plus, and there's some presets. So I'm gonna go glass, and then I'm gonna go dispersion. Let's try crystal glass. Yeah, let's try crystal glass first. So I'm gonna drag this, just switch them out like that. Okay. So now it's not very heavy, but you can see the dispersion. So as you get closer, if you look at edges, like little lines, you can see the dispersion happening. And I like that effect because it just gives it more of a realism to me. So I'm going to sample this blue again. So I'm going to take this, copy this, and then paste the color. Cool. So now we got dispersion happening inside of these frames. And then the roughness, I'm going to set that roughness back to 0.1. Cool. And then what else do we need to do? No thin film, dispersion, fall off. Okay. So I'm just going to leave those as default settings for now. If we need to change them later, we can change them. And we're going to switch back to our scene. So I'm going to turn this global light off and then look through my camera again. Okay. So I'm going to take some saturation out of these lenses. Matter of fact, there's too much saturation in the blue. Let's go to saturation and just take a little bit away. And then go back. All right, that's something. Need to add a little bit more in. All right, so let's switch back. Something in between. All right. There we go. All right, I like that. Not too crazy. All right, so this is our first shot. We're gonna create some other shots too. So let's create another shot. I'm gonna go here, 3D viewport. Do I want to do anything else before I leave the shot? I think I want to just add some definition on this left side. So I'm gonna duplicate this light. And I think I just need to do this. So I'll set this down, and then I'm gonna rotate it 180 degrees. And now this light's underneath. So let's go to front view. And then I'm gonna kind of just move it around, see what happens. Yeah. cool. So go top. And then I'm going to turn it off and on just to see what happens. So you always want to just test it out. And then I'm going to turn up the power of the light. So I'm going to go down here to my light settings. Let's just turn it up to 8. A little too strong. 4. Okay. So cool. I can live with this for now. So again, like this is not final yet. I'm just blocking out shots and creating ideas. So I'm going to create another one. I'm going to go here. We're going to do a full copy. So full copy. Boom. So we got another scene. I'm going to go shot 200. And then I'm going to do something different. Okay. So now I'm just going to delete my lights. Just starting over again. I've got the collection instance still. Cool. And then I'm going to go, got the camera, focus plane, got the background. And then, so I'm going to create something a little bit different this time. So I'm going to rotate this. And I'm going to do something like this. So we're going to shift it here. Should we do? Yeah, let's just do something like this. Okay, so we'll do this. It's going to be a little bit abstract. It's going to be a close-up. So I'm going to shift this down. And then I'm going to push my camera in. Actually, I'll move the shades closer to the camera. So it's going to be a little bit more something abstract. So we're going to do some close-up. So rotate this again. And then bring it up. Oh, just going to bring it up like that. Just to show like a detail shot. A little closer. All right, and then that focus point, right? So we're going to move that focus point here. I'm focusing on that inner corner where the arm of the lens is. So we're going to shift that down. All right, and so now we just light the shot again. So I'm gonna go to my top view and set the focus point. Okay, so now we can start lighting it. So now I'm just gonna press F9 again. All right, so I'm gonna add a light in. F9, cool. So now I can just start lighting it. Okay, so again, we want to define the shape. And the way I'm looking at it is I see a box, right? We got the top ridge, we got the back, and we got the front, and we got the right. I'm looking at it as a box. So the top ridge, I want to define this shape, right? So I want to define this shape right here. Highlight this. I'm going to bring the camera in, or the light. Shrink it down. All right, turn the brightness up. See how it's highlighting everything. Let's try right here, see what we get. Put it on the top. Maybe drag over here, see what we get. Okay, so I'm just dragging it around the object to see what happens. That's all I'm really doing. So I'm trying to figure out how I can define the shape of this object. That's the goal here. I really like this look. So that's all I'm doing. And Light Wrangler, again, really helps me with that, to quickly find something that works. So I'm really liking this look here where it's coming from the right. So I think I'm going to go with that look. Okay. So it's coming from the right. I could probably just straighten this out since it's coming from the right. So I'm just going to move that back. And I can just go up and down to see what would happen differently. So yeah, we'll just go with that. We'll just put it right here for now. And then I'm going to take the spread. Now I'm going to take the feather. So I'm going to turn the feather up, soften it, and then see what happens if I turn up the spread too. And then I'm going to turn up this brightness of it too bright. So we'll go 0.5. Okay, so we got that. And then see what happens if I do some horizontal tilt. Just kind of give it a gradient. Vertical. That's something. I think I want to do that. I like that. And then take this. Yeah, that's nice. So see how like in the foreground it's starting to get darker as I drag it. Yeah, so I'm gonna do that. I like that look. Yeah, so it's like kind of dark here and then it gets brighter. That's cool. I like how I'm defining this shape right here. So I'm gonna add another light. I'm just gonna do, I'll do a new one. Press F9 and then drag my mouse wheel. They make the lights really big by default, so I'm always having to change the size of it. So again, doing the same thing, same stuff again. Just trying to define the shape of this object. Figuring out where this best fits. Trying to spread up. And then, so again, same thing, just dragging it around the object, figuring out how I want to define the shape of these glasses. Sorry, I'm losing my words. Go over here. Maybe come from this direction now. Oh, losing control. Things going everywhere right now. So go over here. See. Things going kind of crazy now. Let's work on this metal piece then, since I'm not getting anything yet. So I'll figure out how to light this metal, turn the brightness down. Something like that. Bring it closer. Turn the brightness down. Go up just a little bit. Okay. And then I'm gonna duplicate. And then drag it across. I'm just trying to figure out how to light this top ridge. That's what I'm trying to figure out right now. So I'm gonna add just a light the traditional way and then drag it over the top. See what happens if I just do this. There we go. And then bring it this direction. So over here, bring it down. All right, so now we're getting something. I'm turn this way down. Drag it up a little bit. Okay. This one's all right. It came out all right. Again, we're just blocking it out. I'm not really feeling this shot too much, but I thought it was gonna look a lot better. In the initial one I built, it came out a lot better. So I must be doing something that I shouldn't be doing. But you guys can kind of get the idea. Oh, I know what it is. So I need to go. I know it's something that's bothering me too. I couldn't put my finger on it. I need to put a subdivision on these. They're not really defined well. I'm seeing the facetness in the objects. So I'm going to add a modifier and we're going to do a subdivision surface like that. And then on here too, sub. There we go. Okay. So I'm just defining these shapes better. And then that's on there. That's on there. Let's see, wireframe of this. Yeah, we'll do one on there too. All right. All right, so let's switch back real quick. Let's see what's going on. Yeah, see now it's a lot smoother. It was looking crazy. So this is actually feeling way better now. There was something going on I couldn't put my finger on. Let's look at the other shot too. Yeah, now it's looking better. I'm getting more like the refraction too is looking so much better because I added that subdivision. So, okay, so we'll create another shot. All right, so let's make that next shot. So I'm going to copy um this scene, do a full copy again. And then we're going to name it shot 300. And then we're going to compose another shot. All right, so let's look at what we got here. I'm just going to rotate this to another angle. Let me rotate it actually in the render. We do something like this. Might want to do another close-up. I think I want to get like, I'm going to leave it like that. And then I'm going to get the corner where it says Rayban. So I'm going to move everything forward towards the camera, matter of fact. So we're just going to shift it like that. Bring this down. So I'm just moving the whole lighting set along with it. I should have got the focus point too. But this will be a nice shot. Pretty easy to make this additional shot like set. So we're going to focus on the Rayban logo here. So let's go to solid. And then just want to make sure that focus point is right on that Rayban front. And like that. Cool. That's our next shot. And then I'm just going to take so that Rayban logo is kind of washed out. So I want to see if I could just edit my light a little bit to properly light that logo. So I'm just going to shift that light back a little bit. So I'm just going to start moving it. There we go. Simple as that. And that probably works. So I just want some shadow on it, right? So that we can read that Rayban logo. So that's a nice shot. And then I'm going to also go over here to my render settings. I got a powerful graphics card. So I'm just going to set it to full global illumination for now. And then something down here in the film section. So this setting right here will actually sharpen your renderings. I don't know if you guys know about this setting. So your pixel filter. So box means no filter, right? So it's going to be a very, very sharp rendering. However, you got to think about there's something called anti-aliasing in rendering. And what that is when you're looking at individual pixels, right? You can actually see a little bit here, a little bit of jagginess. So what this does is it breaks up that transition from colors so that it's a lot smoother. So right now that transition is very abrupt right now. And when I set it back to Blackman Harris, when you look at this corner when it finishes rendering, it's a little bit smoother. So this is what we call anti-aliasing. So again, I came from 3D Studio Max, and 3D Studio Max and V-Ray, you have what you call anti-alias settings, and you can mess with those. You have a lot of control with it. And so you want to be careful with that in terms of how sharp you make your renderings. So I just want to do, instead of 1.5 pixels, I'm just going to set it to 1 on mine. And that's just going to make a little bit more sharper. And being that we're rendering this in the viewport at 1920 by 1920, the final image I usually render is 3840, which is double 1920. So I'm not going to have this issue in the final because I'll have more pixel information to work from in the final images. But you always want to think about these things too when you're creating these renderings, these simple product renderings. When you're doing like interiors and there's a lot of information everywhere, it's harder to kind of see those kind of details. But when you do these very minimalistic shots, this is when stuff like this starts to pop up. So again, we don't have to worry about it because because I'm going to render this at higher res in the final. So I'm also going to go down to my color management, and I want to set it to punchy. Let's see what that looks like. And then I want to try high contrast, see what that looks like. So I'm going to go with high contrast. I like this look. All right. So we got another shot. We can create some more. So let's actually see what our other shots look like with this high contrast setting. So we set this high contrast, and then film, set that to 1. Light paths or bounces, full global illumination, shot 100, same thing, high contrast, film, set this to 1, light paths, set that to full. All right. And then we can go back to shot 300 and let's create another shot. All right, so I'm going to do something a little different for this next shot. So we're going to copy shot 100. We're going to do full copy. And we're going to name that shot 400. Okay, so this one we're going to do something actually a little different. So I'm going to get rid of my lights. I'm going to start over on the lights. I'm actually going to put a ground plane in this shot. We're going to make it big enough to fit the scene. Want it also. So I'm going to select these vertices and I'm going to push it past the camera. And then let's see. So I'm going to maybe I'll raise the camera instead. No, I'll lower the plane. So we'll lower the plane a little bit so that it's going out of frame in the foreground like that. So we'll set it like that. And then I'm going to take the plane and then I'm going to create a new material. Call it ground plane so that I know I'm using the material for the ground plane. And then I'm going to take the roughness, make it fully reflective. You can kind of see what's happening already. And then I'm going to set the base color to black. And then I'm going to turn up the IOR. I'm going to leave the IOR what it is for now. I'm going to leave it like that for now. I'll change it later. And then I'm going to start positioning these shades. So I want to do something kind of different for this shot. So maybe it'll kind of sit at an angle, rotate, set it up, and maybe it'll kind of sit on its frame like that, floating. So we'll do a shot like that, and maybe I'll rotate it too. So let's rotate it left like that. That's a cool shot. Yeah, we'll do something like that. We'll do that. All right, so now let's light it. So add a light, press F9. I'm gonna try like a Rembrandt lighting setup. So we're gonna go 90 degrees, rotate it 180, and then set it out of the frame, just like that. And then front, let's put this above the plane, like so. Front. Okay. I'm going to soften it. So I'm going to select scrim. This is, again, a light wrangler feature. And then I'm going to move it up and down just to see what happens. Maybe turn it towards like that. Turn the brightness up. Okay. So I'm not really getting anything. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to start over. F9. I'm going to light this portion. Looking at that logo again. Where it says Rayban. I'll set it like that. Then I'm going to add another light. Actually, well, we'll leave that. And so we'll add another one. Oops. And then we'll add another one, F9. Bring it closer. See, distance will, like so. Bring the size down. So I'm just dragging it around. Not getting, oh, maybe I gotta turn up the brightness. That's probably what's happening. There we go. Now we're starting to see. There we go. Okay, now we're starting to see brightness of the light. Just dragging it around, see what I can get. So maybe something like that. Spread. Turn up the spread. 180. Can't get something I like out of this shot or this angle for the lens or the frame. That is. So I'm just dragging it around trying to figure out something that'll just work for this. It's a tough one. So you just gotta keep working with it. Maybe I'll rotate it around. See if it's coming from above, maybe. I'll try this right here. Like that. Oh, over here. So again, feather. Turn that up. Horizontal. So I'm not feeling this. This is not coming out right. I'm gonna try a different angle. So we'll try rotating the lens a little bit more. So we'll rotate it. Oh. Do I have a backwards matter of fact? No, I don't. Okay. So we'll just rotate it. Give it a different direction. Maybe I'll turn it up more too. And then set it on the floor. Left. Angle this, make this higher. Then something like that. See if that works. All right, so let's try lighting from this angle. See what we get. No, what actually, I'm looking at paying attention because we got the logo we got to take care of too. We'll go with this. We'll just go with this. Okay, so let's do another attempt. So hopefully we can make this work. I want to show you guys something where you're using a mirrored surface. So like I didn't even explain that to you guys. So basically what I'm doing is I took a surface as a ground surface and I made it a mirrored surface. So this is how you can create a reflective surface and, you know, create something a little more abstract. So I'm going to give this a feathering. Mess with the horizontal tilt. Other way, negative. So we can soften that and then soften that part. Cool. And then we can come from this way. Oops, dang it. F9. Bring the size down. F9. Bring the size down. Okay, And then brightness again. This is getting somewhere now. I'm liking this. Okay, so I think I have an idea. I'm going to start over one more time. All right, so I'm going to delete this lighting tail. I'm just going to go more simplistic with this. We're going to rotate that. Put this off camera. All right. This is something more simple I'll do. And I'm going to narrow this table because we're not seeing the whole thing. There we go. See it back there. All right. And then now take this light, put it off the table, raise it, scale it up, make it bright enough. Go 32. Something crazy. Okay, so now we're starting to get some shape out of these lights. I'm gonna move it up and down just to see how it lights the object, how it comes across. All right, so something like that. I'm feeling that. Okay. Bring it up just a tad. And then go left, raise it. Yeah, cool. So now I'm gonna take this, feather it 100%, check fall off on them. There we go, smooth fall off. And then change it back. I'll mess with that later. I'm gonna duplicate the light, rotate it 180, come this direction, see how it comes across the surface. Like right about there. Cool. Bring it up forward. There, now it's coming across like that. And then I'm gonna add another one. I'm gonna go to my front view, Shift D to duplicate, and then rotate it on the Y. Do a 180. And then we're just gonna see what it looks like when I start to bring it down. Cool. Now we're getting somewhere. And I'm gonna scale it down some. And just move it around, see what happens. So just see on the lights flooding across the surface of the frame. All right, so somewhere like that. All right, so now I'm gonna take my lights and just start turning them back off. Turn this one on. Okay, so we're gonna turn this down to like 4. See how that looks. That's nice. Cool. Maybe 8 for that. I like that. Turn that off. Maybe I can take this one down to 16, thinking. And then turn on this one. It's coming from the left. So probably this could be my key light. I'll leave it at 32. Cool. And we'll see what that looks like. Okay. Yeah, this is nice. So let's I'll give it a gradient now. So I'm gonna give this background its own unique material. So right now this material is being used in all 4 shots. So I'm just gonna click this to make it unique. Name this background, matter of fact. All right, so we're gonna give it a gradient. So I'm gonna change this to shader editor. And then I'm gonna add a ramp. We're gonna connect that. And then I'm gonna add a gradient texture. Connect that. And then I'm gonna add texture coordinates. This is Node Wrangler. Pressing Control T. And then I'm just gonna rotate my gradient. So I'm gonna take this and rotate it around to what I like. So I'm gonna set this to texture. see which axis is it on. Okay, so it's on that axis. Should I do it at an angle? I think so. That'll probably look nice. And I'm gonna flip this. So I'm gonna flip color ramp. Let me see where the black comes in. Right about there. And then the white. So we'll bring the black in just more. See if I can change the interpolation, easy ease. And then add some gray. Balance this out somewhat. And then change the positioning. Oh, too much. Back this back off. That's what I could do. I could just play with this probably. Yeah, so now I get more of a smooth gradient. Okay, that's better. That's what I'm looking for. I'm going to try just going 90 degrees, matter of fact, too. See what that looks like. I'll probably play with the Y. Yeah. Let's see if I flipped it. Flip. He'll probably do that. Bring the white where it meets the horizon. So I'm trying to smooth out that transition between the ground and the background. What could help with that too is the what you call depth of field. That could help with it too. So let me bring this over. Okay, actually, something's not happening right. Okay, here we go. So we can back this off a little bit. And then this white. All right, like that. So we could do something like that, kind of just frames it all in. It's not the prettiest, but again, we're just concepting shots out, not doing anything final. But this is nice. Okay, so now I can go back and go to my focus point, and I'm just gonna set it at that bottom corner right here, front, and like that. So that's my focus point. I'll select my camera. Where's my camera at? And then I could just turn this depth of field down a little bit so that that background, watch, I'll just go extreme. So if we focus on the background, look, we just got rid of that horizon line. So that's the goal here. So I don't want to put the frame out of focus too much, right? So I need to find a good balance. So right now, when I'm back at 32, we can see this transition right here. But now if I go 16, it starts to disappear. Okay. So this is probably a good balance, right? And you know, if you're doing high-end print images for marketing material, most times I would say it's going to go to retouching, and in the retouching phase, that's where you would clean this up more, right? You can't accomplish everything in 3D sometimes. Sometimes, you know, you need to bring it into retouching, Photoshop, and clean it up, you know, and usually that is not the CG artist's job. Sometimes it'll be a retoucher's job, unless, you know, you want to play the role of CG artist and retoucher, you know, if the budget is smaller.